Hello and welcome in to the SorareNBA show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdino on Sorare. Joined today by a very special guest, Damien Ekechukwu, who I was going to ask you how to pronounce your name before, and then as soon as I hit go live, I was like, I forgot to ask.
And you nailed it.
I nailed it. Let's go. All right, let's go. Anyway, Damien from SorareNBA, product manager, I believe is your official title. Here to talk about the upcoming season. Damien, how excited is everyone at the office?
Fired up, honestly. Like there's like a buzz, which is really cool. It almost feels like the season one launch. When we were bringing the NBA to market for the first time. People are asking questions even in the Paris office, like, should I be getting Knicks players? Who should I be targeting? How do I play the L10? Like, there's just a lot of buzz. I'm super pumped for what we've got going this season.
I think one of the benefits to just the way that the NBA calendar works, and MLB has it too, that like the off season, you get a little break. I know there's some people who are kind of like, can we play during the off season too? But it does give you that like hype leading into the season that you really don't. I mean, I guess you get it kind of in the European leagues for football, but like, yeah, there's hype. It's exciting.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the NBA does a good job. Just like the NFL, like there's storylines in the off season. It's a 365-day a year reality TV show that just happens to play live basketball for half of it. So they do a really good job building the storylines, getting people excited, and I think hopefully it's worth the wait for the community.
Yeah, no, we're definitely looking forward to it. Before we get into everything, if you wouldn't mind, for those who are watching either live, and thank you to everybody who has come in live, or if you're watching back, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself. I was watching a stream last week, 2 weeks ago, maybe, with John Scalchunas talking to the Sorare FP guys, and John loves to talk about how you went to Harvard, and so I'd like that to be part of the description, please.
All right, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to stop a timer now to see. I was trying to see how long it would take before that was mentioned, but yeah. So I'm from Chicago originally, so I'm a Chicago sports fan across the board. So it's some Blackhawks Stanley Cups and a White Sox World Series mixed in there. Like, it's been pretty dark times for me, but Derrick Rose was my absolute guy. So, him retiring recently was like, I almost got a little emotional. Soccer's my first love though, actually. That's what I grew up playing. So I'm a huge Arsenal fan. Thanks to FIFA 2001 and, a certain Arsenal team with Thierry Henry. So, but professionally, I worked in finance for 4 years at a bank, and then I, at the same time, around 2017, downloaded Coinbase, Binance, all that stuff, and started dabbling into crypto during that bull run. And always kind of kept my eye on it, just very intrigued by the value proposition of the technology. So when I went to business school, I had this idea of going into sports. So I was doing internships and, just networking in the space, trying to figure out what was for me. And at the same time, I had this budding entrepreneurial tech startup interest. So, through that networking, was also kind of getting exposed to that NFT run. I was wrapping up in 2021, 2022 at school. And, one thing for me was just I couldn't put my finger on it. This is no dig to Top Shot. I think they are pioneers. They're doing fantastic stuff. But for me, I was like, these moments are awesome to collect, but what can I do with these things?
Sure.
And when I found Sorare, I was like, I'm a huge fantasy sports fan, a couple time, fantasy league champion in the NFL, hang my hat on that. And when I saw Sorare, I was like, this is it. I finally get it. This is the use case. This is so fascinating. I have to find a way to work here. So I DM'd a couple of, US leaders or employees who, were opening up in New York office as we were, getting the NBA and MLB stood up. And I was just like, I want to work here. Was lucky enough to get an interview. And, I've been at Sorare since May 2022. So, started on the partnerships team, helping manage the licenses and the relationships, a bunch of fantastic people at the NBA, MLB, and the unions. and then moved over into product marketing, started inching my way closer and closer to the product. And, I've had the opportunity over the last, 6+ months to be, really close, on the product team, setting the roadmap, sorting through all the user feedback and whatnot in Discord. And it's been an awesome, 2.5-year journey now.
Awesome. Yeah, I spoke to a few people who you have spoken to. I don't think we've ever actually. I want to say I don't think we've ever met. I went to the Sorare office once and met like 50 people.
Yes,
and I'm the classic person who like
Yankees Red Sox game, right?
Yes. Okay, yes. So we did.
Yeah.
But everyone I talked to that I was like, oh yeah, Damien's coming on. Everyone's like, Damien's awesome. So it'll be great. So like again, thank you very much for coming on. Let's get into some big changes this year for SorareNBA.
Yeah.
People who play Sorare football are kind of familiar with this new kind of classic season, in-season split. Was this move that you guys did for NBA, was it part to just kind of mimic football, or was there kind of specific feedback that you got from users saying, we want to play for cash?
Yeah. So I think it was something that we wanted to do like business-wide or platform-wide, bringing in this concept of seasonality while still driving utility, right? So you saw it happen in football, but you also saw it happen in MLB. But right. If some people from season 2 remember, like we were starting to plant that seed in NBA last year, for the in-season tournament, for the playoff chase, for special weeklies, where there was a cash reward, we were starting to implement or integrate those in-season requirements. So it's really just one of those things that's like an evolution, for sustainability purposes. And we got some good feedback. We've seen good engagement across, both football and MLB. So wanted to kind of make the leap there for NBA.
Cool. Yeah, I think it was kind of the obvious next step. So actually quite excited that you guys kind of fully went into it. One of the kind of observations that a lot of people on the football side, and again, like this is kind of the first real year where we have like the in-season competitions and the classic ones. But one of the very early observations from the community was, man, they're really like pumping out these cards, and kind of all the new season cards. There's obviously been a significant increase in how many you're trying to sell early in the season, because if you need a certain number of in-season cards to play, you guys want to get them out in the market so everybody who wants to play can play. So I guess the kind of question is, should we expect the same thing in NBA, where we do see kind of like maybe most of the supply that you guys can sell coming out in the first 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, so that's been honestly the topic of the day internally for like the last week and a half, 2 weeks. We're really trying to balance one, supply, making sure people can play, but obviously making sure like the prices and the entry points for users are manageable. But also, the general market dynamic between primary and secondary is healthy and stable. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of things to optimize for. We do want to get that supply out there because we understand there are real in-season card requirements. So we'll be monitoring that like very closely during launch week. If we're seeing the right signals, we'll ratchet up the supply, we'll ratchet it down. But definitely want to, again, first and foremost, make sure everyone who wants to play can do so.
Yeah, I think there's been some kind of like chat about card values. And I think one of the things that we've kind of accepted is not the right word. One of the things we've kind of realized on the football side is the way that you yield from your cards is just very different now. And not to say that like card values can't go up, but generally the way you yield from cards is winning, is competing in contests and winning. And so I think obviously it's a very difficult part of your job is making sure like the supply is there so people can play, but also at a level that I'm not paying $10,000 for a Joel Embiid rare card so that I can win. I don't have the opportunity to win that much money. Do you guys have like, is there not necessarily a plan, but like, how do you change that message of, and not that the message ever came from you guys of buy these cards and they'll be worth more, but just the fact that like the game now is how much can you yield from these cards?
Yeah, you know, the way I would think about it, or how I think about it, is we talk about a lot about you know, creating a game where you can be a general manager, and we firmly believe that. I firmly believe that. Now, if you think about what a general manager in sports is doing, they're not acquiring players to make sure their contract value goes up or their trade value goes up. Like, if you think about an individual, like as they get older, they, you know, become, you know, less skillful after, you know, they kind of hit that prime, right? So, you know, year to year, you know, that they're almost kind of like amortizing in a way, right? So you can't hit every single player, you know, in terms of, you know, going up, flipping them for first round picks, lottery picks, etc. You do have those like once in a generation players like Wemby, you know, your Lucas, etc., that are, you know, getting super maxes. They're winning you a ton of games on the court, and they're making the team and the league a lot of money. So that's how I kind of look at it, as like, I am a general manager. I'm trying to find those guys who have a ton of upside, you know, that, you know, people might not see first. I want to see them as early as possible. And maybe I can, you know, get some, you know, yield just from competing and winning, but also from people wanting that card more. But then there are also people, you know, in my gallery, like I actually just scooped up a classic Chris Paul because I was super pumped to see him dish dimes to Wemby every single night. Hey, I don't expect that. I don't expect Chris Paul to like go make me a bunch of money, but I expect him to be a really valuable part of my gallery that can help me continue to win rewards each game week. So it's really just a focus on the game. It's really on the game being a general manager, as opposed to like, how do I maybe trade these cards to like get some alpha or whatnot. So I think that's the dynamic that we're trying to reframe, reiterate, and you know, that's what we build. That's what we build towards, right? So
I love that perspective. Absolutely love it. I don't necessarily need you to answer this exact question, but I like this one from the chat that like, do you guys have an ideal range of card prices for each scarcity? And maybe you don't even look at it as like individual prices or averages, but just kind of like, is there a goal price of how much will I have to pay to play Sorare?
Yeah. I think that's one thing. Again, we're talking about, you know, we get user feedback, new user feedback around, you know, price points, entry price, etc. So we want to make sure, one, that it's accessible to as many people as possible. That's how this community grows. That's how, you know, this company grows, etc. And yeah, we do look at prices, you know, per rarity, you know, per tier, and we want to make sure those are healthy, both because those help inform, you know, secondary market prices and, you know, give people some sort of like stable price to look towards to, as well as, you know, just managing a business, making sure that your inventory is going for the right price, you know, based on, you know, what we're projecting internally in our business expectations and whatnot. So definitely do, but maybe that's as far as I'll go in terms of.
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm not expecting an exact. Yes, it should be $20. You know, I think we all can kind of understand that.
Yeah.
Let's go into what I think. I don't even want to call it the biggest change, because there are some very big changes. But daily hoops, that Rivals on the football side has become very, very popular for a whole number of reasons. Not even just as like an onboarding tool, but I know plenty of people who have been on the platform for years play Rivals. You know, grind Rivals as much as they can.
Mm-hmm.
Was there kind of a plan to do an NBA Rivals at all, or in that process, did you guys then come up with daily hoops and you're like, actually, this is much better?
Yeah, so that like, you know, it's been a long time coming. We're extremely excited about daily in the NBA because, you know, more so than you know, football even, like there is a top tier player or a set of top tier players playing almost every single night, right? So you can run really exciting lineups. And, you know, so we've been talking about daily, and, you know, there was conversations about, should we do Rivals? You know, should we release Rivals for NBA? And believe me, there was active product development against it. But what we saw this as an opportunity is like building another game mode that we can learn from. You know, all of these things can be applicable to a certain extent across sports, right? So we really wanted to see the rivals team on the football side build, iterate, like scale towards product market fit, which they're getting close to. And then, also, initiate, another new concept that could potentially scale as well. So, we felt like this was a good way to, A/B test in a macro way, if that's like a right way of looking at it. But we're super excited about what we have, ready to launch for day one with Daily Hoops.
I'll say the kind of wrinkle of not being able to use your cards in the regular game week and Daily Hoops is one I actually love. There's like a very clear strategy element of like, man, do I either crush this line, kill this lineup that I have going in the regular game week? Do I save it for the Daily Hoops? And the fact that, like, at first, I wasn't sure how I felt about the announcement every day of what the competition is. And as the days go on, I'm just like, oh no, this is really cool. Like every day I get to see, like, do I have like one day I'm going to wake up and have the right cards for the Daily Hoops.
Yeah.
And just like, I think it's a really fun strategy element that we certainly haven't had before. And we don't really have it in any other Sorare game.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was also a conversation, right? Like, how much do we want to give managers the chance to plan, strategize? And we felt like this was just like, just a cool live ops opportunity to bring some excitement and freshness and a reason for people to come back and set lineups every day. And that's part of why we want to go out with no in-season card requirements, right? We want people to have the full breadth of the Sorare market, both primary and secondary, but also the full breadth of their gallery to go and really check if they have, the lineups, or the players to set a competitive lineup depending on the format of the deck.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm really excited. Last week when I was talking to Mike Zakari, and I went from not loving that I had to be at my computer at like near the deadline to make sure there was any injury news, to then saying I kind of want to play every day. And so it'll be interesting. I don't know how my time is going to work out on this, but like I'm very excited for Daily Hoops just because it gives you the opportunity to play if you want to. And also, like, if you don't want to play that day, like, it's okay. And you're not like massively missing out on big rewards like that.
Exactly.
One of the questions that we got from Twitter was kind of about the Daily Hoops, particularly like the common card version.
Yeah.
And like whether there are going to be prizes in like any of the common competitions, or is it just, that's kind of, here's how you play. And now please go buy cards to play our pro game.
Yeah, so there's there's obviously competitions for all rarities, common through unique. And at the common level, it's actually, split a little bit. So there'll be two competitions. The first one is called Pickup. It's really cap 120 plus MVP. And that's the onboarding competition. When someone signs up, they are forced to play Pickup and only Pickup with the common cards that they get during onboarding. And that's really so they can like learn how to play. And then, after a couple of days, they then unlock the full Sorare experience. So that means Daily Hoops, a common version included, as well as pro competitions. So yes, to answer your question, there will be a common Daily Hoops where you can win limited reward boxes, albeit slightly lower quality than what the limited Daily Hoops will reward. But we really want this free to play mode or common to be like a free to play mode that like gives you as much of a taste of Sorare that we feel is reasonable before asking you to like make that leap and like build your gallery. So we think common is definitely like an important piece of what we're doing for this season, and for that reason, we offer competitions at common. So
cool. Speaking of new users, we all want them, and so do you guys find that the kind of market or the kind of ideal customers that you guys previously went after is the same group, or like what's the, I don't want to like put you on the spot of like what's your entire customer acquisition strategy, but I'm curious if, because there was a time like on the football side, and obviously it has been around much longer, but it was like, oh, there were the crypto people, and then it was like, moving away from that, who are more interested in the fantasy football. It feels like baseball and NBA have almost like a it's not a roadblock, but like I think it applies more on the NBA, excuse me, on the MLB side of like long-standing fantasy baseball players don't love to like randomly try new games.
Yes.
And even though I find Sora MLB amazingly different than any other fantasy baseball game that's out there, and I think you could say the same about SorareNBA, but like, who is the target that you guys feel like you should be going after?
Yeah. So, I think a couple years ago when we launched NBA, I think our customer profiling was probably wider, like sports fans, because collectibles, fantasy sports, who doesn't love them? And I think we cast a really, really wide net. But in the lead up to this season, we did a lot of like profiling or just understanding of who our current customers are and probably who our most likely next customers are. And what I can say for sure in the US is like it's people who love fantasy sports, who love collectibles, and who love crypto. Like I know that feels like a niche community when you start identifying that persona. But it really is like an 18 to 35-year-old who likes one of those three things. Oh, and I forgot to mention number 4, video gaming, right? If you think about that person, they play NBA 2K or FIFA, so they understand this like ultimate team concept. They've engaged with fantasy sports, and they don't think crypto is a scam. And like I said, we have not touched not even close to that entire population of individuals in the United States and beyond. So we think we can be super targeted and really, I guess, go a level deeper in terms of like that marketing and outreach. So, we're still scratching the surface with people who played Top Shot. You saw Rainmakers, shut down, and we're starting to see people express interest in Sorare from there. So, I think what you'll see from us is just trying to tap into those audiences more, because again, they still haven't seen, I guess, the light that is SorareNBA. And so
that's interesting that it includes not that you ignore the people who are interested in crypto, but it does feel like Sorare kind of as a whole has moved away from using crypto as a reason to come in. Do you find that that's just kind of happenstance, that like over time you're just like, we just don't talk about crypto as much? Or like, I don't want to say it's being hidden, because obviously like all of the NFTs are like blockchain assets, but like, how much does like crypto really fit into it at this point?
To me, I think it's the lifeblood of what we do, right?
Okay.
Like, scroll down to the card page, like there's your, the token ID is there. You connect, like, if you ask me, like it's the easiest way to pay for something on the platform. Like, like I actually extract my not extract. I take my cash rewards in ETH actually, because I'm a believer in the currency. But I don't think you need to market it. I don't think you need to say NFT or blockchain or anything like that. Like, it's not like I can't find the right analogy, but it's almost like it's not like a tech company is saying, hey, we're like an AWS powered like SaaS business.
Sure.
Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah.
Is the project experience good? Like, do you enjoy it? All right, great. Like, I don't really care what's on the back end. So like, crypto is extremely important for what we're doing, but it just doesn't need to be in the forefront of our marketing materials. But then again, I think people who understand it, who appreciate the technology, who are early adopters, are the people who are most likely to like get over that skepticism that still exists, but is slowly waning as you start to see more, institutional use cases, stable coins, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Kind of on that topic, and we brought up Top Shot a few times. I did not get into Top Shot. It was, I don't even have an answer of like why I never really got into it, but I just never did. And it does feel like there were certainly people who came from Top Shot to play like SorareNBA. And there are, I think, other people who played Top Shot and didn't come to SorareNBA because they played Top Shot, and that they feel like while they're different, they're basically the same. Can you kind of speak on why they're not nearly the same thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it comes down to like the gameplay, like we are first and foremost a game. I think they are first and foremost a collectibles marketplace. And it just so happens that collectibles are how you play the game and can win rewards. And I think that piece really is awesome because it helps you build attachment to these players that you ultimately collect and have in your gallery. So I think more so than anything, it's really the gaming element. And again, I'm not dunking on Top Shot. I think it's a fantastic product. Again, it's it helps show blockchain and NFTs to the world, and especially the world of sports fans. And hopefully we can kind of work with them and to kind of continue to grow awareness and adoption. So it's really just the gaming piece, I think, is that core differentiator.
Cool. Yeah. No, I completely agree. Like utility over everything at this point. Speaking of collectibles, we've seen kind of an increase in the number of special edition cards on the football side. We have had them in MLB and NBA. Should we be expecting some more this year from the NBA team?
Look, I don't want to overpromise because I know the Sorare community keeps receipts. So I know some would be like at minute 26 on this podcast, Damien said that special edition cards, and but I can tell you internally, I'm yes, we loved what the execution on the early access project or initiative on the football side, and the reception with animated editions, shiny editions, etc. And we want to bring that to NBA. It's really now just what makes sense, what are additional concepts that we can test that kind of pushes the boundaries of special editions. But it's definitely certainly something already kicking around and even starting to design prototypes and whatnot for. So
yeah, it does feel like the cards in the past, I'll say year, 18 months, they feel like a premium product that you can get thanks to NFTs that, now that they're 3D and that you can put stuff on the back and just all of the different kind of designs that you can pull, they're cool. It's as simple as that. I mean, the cards are getting really cool. And while I don't necessarily think many people are coming in just to collect and just be, buy these collectible items, they're starting to feel, to me at least, like a collectible product. And it may just take a few years before other people are ready to accept them as that. But I love to hear that. I remember I bought a bunch of the Christmas edition ones last year. I'm a Knicks fan. I went to Villanova, so Brunson, nice. Hart, and Bridges. Yep. And I'll buy them again just because that.
Sorry about DiVincenzo. That was tough. They should have just played at least one game.
One game. Just one. At least a preseason game. I would have taken that. It's Hershey said LeBron with a king crown celebration card would be the smasher. Yeah, the football celebration card.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yes. We're a little bit at the mercy of what the NBA gives us at media day, but the players do some pretty cool poses. So we'll see if we can push the envelope there. I love that idea.
There we go. Somebody write that down. Where are we? 29 minutes. No. I wasn't going to bring this up, but it just came to mind. The gameplay feels like it's been, meaning the basic rules of the game, contender and champion with our MVP. Was there any thought of maybe changing the cap this year or kind of allowing more versatility with lineups? And I bring that up because there was a few tweets from Pranksy recently, who Pranksy is a big NFT collector, maybe the biggest one, I'm not sure. Plays the football side, has a gigantic football gallery, and made this comment I went to a Knicks game once, so I love the Knicks. Can I just make a Knicks stack? And the game doesn't really work that way. Was there any thought of creating something like that outside of daily hoops, I'm guessing?
Not necessarily. I think on the pro side, we love having that consistency in terms of champion, contender, underdog. There's already such a strategic depth to the game, and now multi-entries coming into the fold. And so I think that's something we wanted to kind of keep a little bit consistent. And then on the daily hoops side, you mentioned it, that's kind of our R&D a little bit. We want to come in and come out with cool competition formats, maybe some are a little bit crazy, and just get the general response. And like, maybe those are things that can scale to permanent competitions, or, help spur ideas for something that we would do down the road. But like, I know I love like the spirit and energy of people wanting more ways to play, more ways to win. That's something we say internally too. But we just got to make sure it's like thoughtful. So.
Sure. No, I think if you're unfamiliar with either the NBA or the way that SorareNBA works, the game becomes very boring if you can play whoever you want, because then the 5 best players are played and you really don't have a have a way to win. So I think the cap competitions in themselves it was just like by far the best way to go. And with Champion allowing you to like have your MVP that doesn't count against the cap, it requires a little more work, but theoretically it's work that we want to do because we're playing a fantasy basketball product.
Exactly. And, we raised the cap a little bit, both for Contender and for Underdog last year. So it's not something that we're like afraid to do. We'll definitely do it if we think it makes sense and it still provides balanced gameplay. And then we actually just had like a very impassioned debate about no cap. I'm actually team no cap, like not all the time, but like sometimes it's just fun to like run your best 5 cards and see how many points they can score. I know some people will laugh at Street Ball and the $63 in cash rewards last year, but that's at least what it was fun for, just seeing how the big dogs played. But
no, that's fair. Is Street Ball gone?
Yes, Street Ball is gone. So those $63 are right back into the prize pool.
All right. As long as it's staying in the prize pool, not going right into your pocket. That's all people care about. There was a big marketing push using Kylian Mbappe for football. Do you guys have anything planned? And maybe you can't say, but last year we did see Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson. And I have to continue to give John a hard time because I was invited to none of that stuff, even though he knows. But anyway, do you guys have any kind of plans to do more with NBA players? And I'll even add, we have like the signature cards for some players on the football side. Any chance that's coming to NBA?
So no concrete plans. I think where we've been really focused on the marketing side is like having really good execution around tentpole moments on the NBA calendar where interest, visibility, engagement is highest. So think Emirates Cup, think or in-season tournament, think Christmas Day, think the Paris game, that's a home game for us, think the All-Star game, etc. And then, once we have those beats, that's when we start to think about like what makes sense from like a strategic standpoint to get players involved. So nothing, I would say maybe as big as the Mbappe campaign teed up. But for sure something that we could probably pull out through our relationship with the NBA union down the road. And then in terms of like signatures and stuff, I love the idea. Sometimes it's every single time with card designs they happen to just like fall out at the last minute, and I'm like, damn it, who took it out again? but again, something we can experiment with and whatnot. But I would say we're more tentpole focused and player focused to start the season.
I think that certainly makes sense. There are, the NBA kind of gives us tentpole opportunities, and so playing into them makes total sense. All right, I have 2 kind of gameplay questions. I think that's all I had. But the first one is about the introduction of multi-entry this year. We saw multi-entry kind of come in. And I believe it was when I was talking to Everett Case before the baseball season, where he said, if we get to mid-season and it looks like we should do multi-entry or increase it, we'll do that. You guys already kind of showed what the beginning of the season multi-entry will look like. Will it take like a big increase in users to possibly increase the multi-entry, or are you just comfortable where it is for the season?
I think we're comfortable where it is to start. It's a little bit of it's like a delicate topic, right? Like, at least for me, like every time you increase the number of entries, that just kind of raises the bar for engagement for those people who want to stay super competitive, right? So, honestly, it's actually a little bit paradoxical. The more you have multi-entry, the harder it probably is for like a new user to kind of come in and like actually be competitive on day one. So we just want to maintain that competitive balance, make sure that the platform stays fun. But like, hey, if at mid-season, like the entire community is like, hey, like I want even more strategy, I want to set even more lineups, it's not something that we shy away from. So keeping the door open, but no plans to, no, I guess like outline plan to increase like a scheduled day.
So I think the last one that I wanted to touch on, and is a sensitive subject for me because I have a very passionate opinion one way. You guys seem to have gone the other way. So I'll set you up like that. So the prize pool is obviously like a massive increase in the amount of cash that you're paying out this year versus last year. It seems like all of it is going to first place. And I'm being dramatic there because it's not. But the champion in-season prize pools are basically what I look. That's where most of the money is for the prize pools this year for cash, are fairly top heavy. And I believe I'll even reference what John said on SorareFP recently, like that you guys like this idea of kind of a top line prize that like, if you win, like you're really winning. The problem is if you come in like fourth, you're not winning that much. And so are the prize, like, I don't want to expect you guys to change how much you're paying out over the course of the season, but like if there is feedback that users want kind of a more flatter and longer distribution of prizes, is that something that you guys would be open to?
Yes. Yeah. I actually don't think we've been as nimble as I would personally like in terms of like altering that prize pool distribution. Obviously, it's a little bit sensitive because there are expectations that you set for users, and you don't want to constantly be altering those.
Sure.
But I totally do hear you. I think there is something to be said a little bit about human nature, just like that jackpot, culture. Like, everyone can win on any given day. I actually won limited contender last year. No funny business. I won limited contender last year, which was super sweet. I wish there were cash rewards in limited.
Yeah, back then, yeah.
Back then, that would have been awesome. But that feeling of like coming out on top and getting a really good reward, like it just makes it feel like that much better. And I honestly feel like it's something that people start to aspire towards. So we want to be able to like create celebrities within the community when they win. On the MLB side, Cribs just won the September Chase, so he'll be going to the World Series as part of that prize package. And he tagged me saying thank you, even though I had nothing to do with it. But like,
always nice.
Yeah, but I saw all the replies kind of coming in, congratulating him, expressing healthy, happy envy. And that's what we want to do. We want people to get their limelight, but definitely open to exploring longer tail, obviously within reason. I feel like winning $1 doesn't like really do anything for anyone, but something to definitely think about. Last thing I'll say is we actually did a lot of surveying on this.
Yeah.
50-50.
Like, I believe it. I actually do believe that.
50-50. And I was like, man, like, because I was high conviction one way, and like I was like, wow, okay, never mind. It's really
I don't think that there's a majority on that. You could literally interview everyone in the world, and I think you're going at 50-50. So I don't want to say that one way is right or wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll say my way is right, but I won't actually say that. One of the things you just mentioned about how a bunch of people like replying to somebody else winning, that is something about the Sorare community, and it happens in every sport that you guys have. That it's astonishing to me how supportive people are of other people winning, even though we're competing against each other. Like people are genuinely happy for other people winning, even though that means that we are not, everyone else is not winning. But it's like by far one of my favorite things about the Sorare community, that like someone wins, they talk about it, and everyone is like, congrats, that's so cool, like that's awesome. And I think that just goes to the community that comes about a game that like people love to play.
Yeah, I love it. It's the most passionate corner of sports that I think I've ever seen. And we want to continue to like grow that and open the doors. Was just talking with doing like a user interview the other day, and like that's what they really really encouraged us to like lean into, is like that community aspect. And I know social gameplay has been a topic or an ask for quite some time. We did private leagues for a little bit. It went away, but we want to get social right. I love the idea of squads and how we've integrated it into rivals, and just continuing to find the right fit for our community, right? A typical season-long private league kind of fits a little bit, doesn't fit squarely into Sorare. Maybe it could if you move some things around, but we just want to find the way that again, like overlays the community aspect in a social way in the platform.
Love it. We didn't touch on this, but Ryan Walter here was asking if there's going to be some sort of common limited hybrid mode, which we've had previously, but I didn't see if that fit anywhere here.
Yeah, so not in Daily Hoops. Daily Hoops will be common only, but in Pro, you will actually, and we'll have common champion and common contender, and you'll actually be able to use up to 4 limited cards. And those 4 limited cards will each get a 5% scoring bonus. We saw some feedback that maybe that was like a little bit unfair. It's not the 20% that limited tip-off gives, but what we really wanted to do with that is like give people ways, again, those new joiners, to increment their way into like a viable limited gallery. Because sure, you can get a limited card, but then you kind of show up to limited champion or whatever, and you're like, well, what do I do? I don't go get 4 more cards. So just again, trying to reduce that barrier to entry, ease people into it, and build their gallery incrementally. So hybrid will be in Pro for sure.
Cool. I think I said like 3 times already this was the last thing, but here's the actual last one.
Oh, good.
Until I add another thing later. You were talking about feedback and like what sort of the feedback that you guys get, and I think somebody in the live chat mentioned it kind of earlier. But what sort of users do you guys end up talking to in terms of feedback? I do know that getting feedback from new users is always really tough because new users don't necessarily want to spend the time to do it. But I assume that you guys get kind of a wide range of opinions, but like, how do you guys go about that, I guess?
Yeah, I've personally talked to people like across the board in terms of gallery size. So you need to, otherwise your perspective can kind of get skewed because people, at different, gallery levels have, different motivation.
Sure.
So, it's easy, maybe on like the unique super rare side, because they will DM you immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't even need to reach out to them.
Yeah. You don't need to reach out to them. And, we'll answer the call, obviously. And then limited and rare, it's, people like yourself, the Zakarians of the world, Orange Fly, Clamp on the MLB side. Soxy is fantastic. Like a lot of people who like really, really care about the product, always willing to give open, transparent feedback. And then we've got a really, really good user researcher. I'll give a shout out to Paul.
Paul's awesome.
This call. And he finds us people across the board, across gallery size, across geographies, different profiles, etc. So, honestly, whenever we want to go do research or talk to a user to understand a problem or something that we're thinking about, it's really easy to get access to those people because of the work that he's able to do.
I said I was done, but you just said something, so I got to ask it. But it was about geography that you were saying, Paul, I've spoken to Paul about some football things, and football is a very global game, I'll call it, global users. The NBA is very much a North American located sport. Daily hoops happen, lock times for daily hoops. We didn't talk about that late, you have lock until each player locks, but that doesn't, for the ease of this question, like, do you guys primarily see this as a game for like the US audience, or is it like, how do you try to build the game so that this large base of European users that you have, at least on the football side, can kind of play NBA also?
Yeah. NBA is a global sport.
Sure.
For sure. And, we've actually got like an engineering manager on the U.S. sports team who literally stays up until like 2, 3 a.m. watching NBA games. He spent time in San Francisco, huge Warriors fan, so he will literally stay up even more so. I'm in bed by like 11:30. I'm like, I gotta go, and he's up watching the game. So it's a global sport, and there's a lot of interest, and we understand that it's hard to maybe from a competitive aspect to set a lineup and find out Joel Embiid has decided that he didn't want to play tonight. But we're a little bit at the mercy of like just the product, the game. Sure. It's like the sport itself. But I think that's what's great about Pro is that you can strategize all week, kind of on your schedule. With daily hoops, we were actually just thinking about like the cadence of when we open, close, send notifications to make sure that people in different time zones can access the competition based on their routine with like the utmost flexibility that we possibly can. So obviously a U.S. sport, but the IP has global appeal, and we want to make sure that we do right by that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate. Yeah, I mean, obviously the schedule and locations are out of your hands, and I appreciate the Joel Embiid shade during the answer. That's all I have. Is there anything that you wanted to discuss or that we didn't touch on? I feel like we hit on everything that I wanted to, at least. But.
No, I mean, I just want to reiterate like how excited and like the energy behind this NBA launch, how much there is, and acknowledge that like it's been a journey, particularly on the MLB and NBA side, but like I could just assure you that people are working tirelessly every day to like make this as fun as an experience as possible. I think we made a lot of really positive strides on the MLB side. And, I think what we have coming out on the NBA side is exciting and compelling, but like, we're not done yet, right? Like this is still an experiment. Sorare is relatively new in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of fantasy sports, which I think used to be called rotisserie sports or whatever. So like bear with us, give us feedback, but also give us grace to like continue to like improve the game because we just want to make this season awesome. So can't wait for it. Let us know what you think, and can't wait to start setting lineups here in just 6 short days.
Is it that soon?
Oh my God. Marketplace opens October 15th. And obviously the season starts on the 22nd, but you can start strategizing when that lobby opens. So.
Wow, we are right there.
Amazing. Yes,
sir. Damien, really appreciate you taking the time to come on. I will say that unquestionably, like everyone I've spoken to, and not that I've spoken to everyone at Sorare, but like everyone is clearly so passionate about the company and the platform and the games and the users that, not everybody's going to agree on like the best way to do everything, but it's very clear that you guys want to create the best thing that can be created. And so thank you for all of that. Honestly, thank you for that work. Thank you for coming on. And we'll make sure to check these receipts later when we're looking for all of our
perfect. Hold us accountable. I love it.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Laird. Appreciate it.